Okay, is this is this working? Let's see. Got viewers waiting. Likes, nothing yet. Okay. I think I'm going to keep up this window here. 22222. Right, should be able to hear me. Okay, I think I've got a viewer. Okay, cool. So I'll start caching this now. Maybe I'll wait for a few more. Say hi if you're viewing, and I'll let you know what's going on. Basically, what I'm going to be doing today is playing around with some geonodes to try to recreate this apartment generator. Now this node group looks really complicated. Yes, it does. What I might do is I'll see if I can share this. Live chat, enable live chat. Yes, live redirects. Oh, okay. No, I don't want to monetize. Not on this viewing. I want to share the stream. Should we? Let's see now. I'll just share this stream in a couple of places while I'm starting this up. Is interested. I'm live streaming tonight. Let's see. See if there's anyone else out there. Interested. Live streaming tonight. Showcase. Should I do a showcase? Oh, it's the message. Okay. And of course, all my screens can be seen on this thing. I'm hoping I can edit this. Okay, we've got two viewers. Right, I want to see if I can set this up. The streaming properties, filters, no source selected. Let's see, stream, nope. It's not going to let me lock it to a certain window. So what I should do is probably take this and drop it over here. Yes. All right. Playbacks 5. Okay, cool. We've got 5 viewers. That should be a good start. Hey everyone, how's it going? All right. So what am I doing today? What am I doing today? Well, say hi in the chat if you're just starting to view, and I'll see if I can answer some questions. So, what I'm going to attempt to do. See, I've been playing around with some geonodes, and this is basically an apartment block that's built out of some assets that I've had created, and I have. You can see this big node tree here, which looks super complicated, but I'm going to try to simplify these things down. Hi, CG Patrick. Thanks for commenting. Okay, so I'm going to try to simplify this down and try to get the what's it called? See all these ums and ahs and fluffing around. This is what I edit out of my videos. Norway's here. Awesome. What do I say here? Yes. basically get the concepts down. So ultimately, what I want to do is create something with this sort of control here that allows us to increase or decrease the depth, the width of the building, and even the height of the building. See how that sort of roof moves up with the height, which is really, really nice. Not only that, we've got some random seeds which can randomly generate different window types on this mesh, right? So we've got a bunch of controls to create different types of apartment blocks, even these kind of different ground floors. Okay, so while this looks all really, really cool, it's all being controlled by this noodle here. And like I said before, yes, it looks complicated, but the concepts are surprisingly simple. So what I'm going to do now, for this noodle here, I actually used Erindale's toolkit, which I will link in the show notes when this is over. I'm not sure if I can select or add show notes while I'm going. Oh, actually, I think I might be able to. So let me see here. See if I can do this. Erindale tool kit. Should be on Gumroad. There it is. I'm just going to do a link here. And I'm going to save it. Should be in the links now. Oh wow, we've got 12. Awesome. Right. So how about them concepts, right? So, well, first off, full disclosure, I'm actually using the Blender 3.0 Alpha for this. Why am I using this 3.0 Alpha? Well, basically, what I wanted to do was play around with the geometry nodes as they exist now. Now, in the main branch, if you're using 2.92, it's highly recommended you start getting used to geometry nodes. Hey, I've got a New South Wales listener. Hi neighbor. Philip Samuels there. But in the 2.93 version, they're fairly similar to the 3.0 version of geometry nodes. There's a few minor additions, but the main feature in 3.0 is that you can actually get some drop-down menus, which I'll show you now. So let's see. Let's just go back here. Okay, so what essentially we're doing with this building is I've taken a bunch of assets, and if I clear this apartment block, what I've got here, let's take a look here. We've got the ground floor assets. I think we've got to enable these. Right, yes, okay. And the ground floor assets, let's select those objects, are essentially this. That's it. It's a door and a window. That's all there is in the ground floor assets. Right, now I've zeroed out their rotation scale and location. So why don't we make the ground floor invisible? I've got some upper floor assets here, which are basically just a window. That's it, right? So we can switch that off. And then I have some roof assets, which are essentially, let's see if we can see these. Yes, I'm just going to move this over here so you can see it. Right, there's a corner, there's a bit of tile, and there's a straight part. And I'm just going to undo that. Right, let's make that invisible again. And let's, oh, also I've got this corner, which is very, very important. And all together, let's just make sure that they are all invisible and non-renderable. Oh, except for the apartment, right? Hello, apartments. Yes, we want to see you. Why can't we see you? What have I done? Oh, yes, that's right. I've made it the entire group invisible. Right, yeah. Okay, so that apartment is made up of all of those components. And through this noodle, what I'm basically telling the geometry nodes to do is to place those objects in the following pattern. So it can distribute things along the X and the Y and the Z. And not only that, it can then give us some random seeds to, out of those collections, give us different iterations of how it's, oh yes, there's this wall here as well, of course, of how it distributes the items in that collection. So I've actually got a collection just for the ground floor and a collection just for the upper floor. So whenever there's a Z count that goes up, right, I can make this very, very high. I can make this wide. The width works on both the ground floor and the upper floor, as does the depth, right? So we can have a very consistent building across all three dimensions. And what else? As I drop the Z count, the roof will automatically drop per layer. So how do we set something like this up? Well, I'm going to give you the basic concepts of some geometry nodes. These concepts should be... No, they're actually available in 2.93 beta. So if you want to try this, you've got to at least have the beta version. So I'm going to start by just deleting everything default. And let's just bring this over. I'm working in the Geometry Nodes active workspace. And what you might want to do is just add something like a plane, because geometry nodes are actually in a modifier stack. You can create a geometry node modifier and then basically set up all of your geometry nodes in that modifier. And then you can add that modifier to another object. Now, a plane is often fairly easy to start, but you can have a sphere or you can have a cube. Doesn't really matter. What I'm going to do is I'm going to hit new here, and we'll have a group input and a group output. And a new modifier has shown up in the stack, so I'm going to call this apartment. Let's call it that. Yes. Now, very much like shader nodes, if anyone's sort of used to those sorts of things, right? It works on a node tree. You have to have an input, you have to have an output. But from 2.93 onwards, what you're able to do, I'm just going to go Shift A here, is you're able to add some mesh primitives. And I'm going to add a line primitive. Okay, what does a line do? Well, why don't we substitute this group input for this line? Hello to Spain. Good afternoon. Right, this geometry primitive can override the group input. And so if we connect this geometry output to here, what happens is instead of the plane, we now see this line. It's got a vertex count of 10. I'm just going to drop that down to 4. Okay, and it's got this offset of 1 meter in the Z direction. Right, I am going to switch this from offset to endpoints. And so now the count is what's important. Okay, so let's go into front view here. Over 1 meter, this is the Z direction, right? We actually have 4 vertices. What I want to do is I want to make the meter count match the vertex count. And so across this line, there should now be 1, 2, 3, 4 vertices, including the origin point. So it'll count an extra 4 above. Okay. Now, what good is this? Well, what if we had some geometry that we could, I don't know, place across this line? Very much like an array modifier. Well, I'm going to add an actual object here. Let's go Shift A and let's create a cube. And I'm just going to go into edit mode here for a second, grab, and I'm going to move this up 1 unit so that our origin point is actually at the 0 mark, and that the cube actually goes 2 units above the XY axis in the Z axis. Right, so we've got this cube that is 2 by 2 by 2, but the height is what's important, because this line, which is overriding our plane, okay, is what is going to drive this. So now, of course, we need some geometry for the line to act upon. Good morning, Tom. I don't know where you're from, but let's see. If Spain is in the afternoon, you might be somewhere, I don't know, England? I'm going to take a wild guess. Okay, so now we go in our geometry nodes here, we're going to go Shift A, and we're going to add a point instance, because what we want is actually a point to be distributed, but we can tell this point to be anything we want. In this case, I'm going to tell it to be the cube, this cube here. Good morning from England. I was right. Yes. Okay, cool. I'm going to make this cube invisible for now. Okay, so that there's no confusion here. And I'm going to connect this line geometry to the geometry input of this point instance, which is going to reference the cube. Oh, we have a USA. Oh, wait, great. Excellent. Eastern Standard Time in the USA. Awesome. And then I'm going to connect this geometry from the point instance to the geometry output. Now you'll see that for every vertex there is a cube, and that's why we've got these overlaps. Now remember, this cube is 2 units wide, and so our end location and our count is actually making these cubes overlap. Because this cube is 2 units, or 2 meters in this case, we actually need an end location that is a little bit larger. Okay, so, and it obviously needs to be subtracted a little bit too, so probably around 6. Yes, that makes sense, because the first cube occurs at the first point, and then everything goes up by 2 units on top. It's a little counterintuitive here. But what if we wanted to add a cube and go up the end location by 2 units, effectively giving us a control that allows us to add a cube and a vertex at the same time? Well, this is where a little bit of math comes in. And I've got to thank Erindale for sort of teaching me these tricks. Erindale is an amazing artist, and I've linked to his toolkit in the notes below, if you can see that. It's about £5. English was about $6 US American dollars for his toolkit. But it's worth it if you've never used geometry nodes before and you just want something that facilitates the process. What I'm showing you here is the very, very basics. All right, so we've got this line, we've got this cube, and now we want to tell the count and the end location to go up by the same increments. So whenever we have a count of 4, we have a meter end location of 6. So if we created, let's do an input value node, all right? Okay, so if this value was 4 and we connect that to the count, this means that for every integer we put in our value, right? See, the end location has not changed. It's always been 6 meters, but the value will change. We want the value to also drive the end location by a specific amount. And in this case, it's 2 meters per iteration. So first off, because we've only got one input for this end location, but we've got an X, a Y, and a Z coordinate, we need a special node to be able to control these 3 coordinates separately. So I'm going to go Shift A, and I'm going to search for X, Y, Z, and I'm going to click on this combined X, Y, Z. Okay, so now we've got controls for X, Y, and Z, and if we click and drag. We connect that. We now have these controls outside of the end location. So if I put in that 6 here, we now have an endpoint which is set to 6, right? Makes a lot of sense. But now we need, obviously, 4 to be equivalent to 6 to get the same result. So the first thing we'll need is a math node, which is under Utilities, Math. And we definitely need to multiply whatever the result here is by 2. So if we get that value in there, so 4 by 2 will give us 8. But then we have to subtract 2 to get that 6. And so we duplicate this math node. We switch this to subtract. The value should be set to 2. And we then can connect this value to that value. Let's move this over. Okay. And then we connect this value to that value. Now watch what happens. If we put in a 1, we get 1. If we put in a 2, we get 2. If we put in 10, we now have 10. Voila! We now have a control which will give us the number of cubes that are duplicated. And for every duplicate, the cube will stack neatly on top of the previous cube. We can do this not only in the... why not only just do an add 2? Because this actually works for... Okay, let's try that. Let's try that. Okay, let's go add 2. We have to subtract 2 because if you add 2, right, that's what happens. It stacks really badly. You're actually adding an extra cube and the end point is 10, so you have to subtract 2, right? But in order to subtract it correctly, first you have to multiply this value by the meters, and because this cube is 2 units, we want to multiply it by 2 first. Then we have to subtract 2 from the total so that we get these cubes neatly stacked up. Excellent question. I'm glad I could show you that in real time. Okay, this doesn't only work on the Z. If we switch it over to the Y, okay, let's get that zeroed out for the Z. We can do the same for the Y, okay, as well as the X. And so now we can duplicate the same instant object several times, much like you would an array. All right, so I hate to say it, but this is sort of like the extent of my knowledge for now. But now you see this value of 5, right? This is driving the integer of this count, right? Now, what I really, really love about geometry nodes is this is the test node. I'm going to disconnect this, right? And I am going to connect this node here, this empty node, to the count, right? And then I'm going to also connect it to this value. Let's get rid of u over here, right? And so now we have an exterior control that we don't have to go into the geometry nodes. We can actually add that control to our modifier. How cool is that? Right. All right, so let's see if I can do this another way. Oh, Marco has it. Hey, Marco. Boys. How's he going? Right. Now, let's see. So we don't have to make node controls every time. No. You don't have to. I really want to play with the asset library. All right. How about I mix things up a little bit? How about I get an asset in here? Shall I? Waiting for Blender 3. Yes, this is the alpha version of Blender 3. So that we're looking at. Can I like comments or no? I can't. I can only click on them and Yes. All right. So this very, very basic setup allows you to duplicate this point instance. But what if we had something very, very specific? All right. So let's import an FBX file that I have prepared earlier. I am going to bring in, let's see, where is it? A wall. I think I'm going to go with the ornate wall because it looks a little bit nicer. Okay, there's my wall ornate, right? And let's make that invisible. Now, every time you click on this, right? What I can now do is switch this object from cube to wall ornate. Now, this wall ornate has got a base width of 3 meters or 3 units. And so we do have to adjust our counts here. So I'm just going to go 3 and 3 so that it makes it much neater here, right? And so now we can make a lot of wall segments or just a few. Okay? All right. Let's take this one step further. We've got this empty collection here. I'm going to drop the wall ornate inside the collection, and I'm going to call this building. Okay. Blah, blah, blah. Right. Got the wall ornate in there. I'm going to bring in import FBX, a window. Let's bring in window 01 and window 02. Let's bring in 2 types of window. All right, there we go. And let's just make those invisible. They're now sitting in building. Okay. Oh, hello. We've got the window panes, which are also invisible. Now, here's something I discovered the hard way. Anything that's parented is not going to work very well. So what I want to do is I'm just going to make that invisible. I'm just going to make my assets visible here. Oh, we don't need the wall ornate. The window panes, control select. I'm going to unparent, but I'm going to keep the transformation so that these exist inside of the building. But now each of these windows need to be in their own collections. So I'm going to make a new collection here. Where's that new collection? Let's go window 01. And in there, we'll put in the window 1 and window 1 pane. Excellent. Let's make a new collection. Window 02. And we'll put the windows in the O2s, right? Because we've got some panes here. And then let's just make that invisible again. Let's make our plane visible. Right. Now, this is the really cool bit. Instead of an object, we can instance a collection. So I'm going to switch it over to collection, and I'm going to set this to building. Okay, it doesn't look great because it's instancing the whole collection. If we untick this, now look what happens. For every point on that instance, it instances a random selection from inside the building collection. How do I know it's random? Well, check out the random seed. If I random seed this, now we can change randomly. Uh-oh, Project Atlas. I've got his heart pounding. Guys, should we get a medic over to Project Atlas? Yes, we can change these walls randomly, and that is to me is just mind blowing, right? So we've got windows and walls, 2 types of windows, 1 type of wall in there that we can also, without even having to look at this, we can change the count of the wall here, okay, so that we can expand it in this direction. Have I played Half-Life, Alex? Are you talking to Project or me? Have I played Half-Life? Half-Life gave me a headache back in the day, and I tried to get back into it so I get to Alex. So yes, I'm gonna have to get back into that. All right. So that is a very basic setup. Now, of course, if you take a look at this thing, it is way more complicated, right? With a few more controls, but they all work on the same principle. I mean, look at this, right? The depth is basically that wall principle, but in the y direction. And the width is exactly what we just did, but in the x direction. Now, it's also going vertically in the z direction, right? Which means we can drop the count there. But I've done something a little bit, naughty and clever here. And that is that all of these nodes, what they're actually doing is not only referencing the assets, okay, but they're referencing, you can see here that I've got 3 groups under building. I've got upper floors, ground floor, and roof. I've also got this corner ornate sitting here on the outside. Why is it on the outside? Well, that's because it's going to be working on it can stack vertically, but I only want it to appear at the end of something. How could you add a roof in Greebles? Sexy building. Yes, it is. It's a very sexy building. All right, so let's see if I can get that corner in there. So I'll bring in this corner. I'm going to import FBX corner. It'll have to be the ornate one to match. Right, there we are. Okay, I'm going to leave this on the outside here, right? And what we want to do is, firstly, we want this corner to sit on one edge over here and not have anything happen to it. Now, instead of adding a point instance, I'm actually going to go Shift-A, input object info. All right, let's get this object. I can reference that corner. So if I connect that geometry to this geometry, there's the corner. Now, of course, it's facing the wrong way. So what we need to do is add, where is it? A geometry transform. We first of all have to flip it -1 in the x direction. And we have to, I think, bring it back about 0.5. Now, how do I know if this is right? Well, there's this nifty node in 2.93 and above. Shift-A, geometry, join geometry. And now this is possibly the best node ever. You see this little green sort of long dot thing? Well, here's how it works. You can take any geometry and you can connect it to this dot. And then you can take this geometry and you can connect it to the same dot in any order, right? It doesn't really matter. So it's really up to you how you connect it. And then when you put the output, right, it basically adds one piece of geometry output to another bit of geometry output. That's pretty cool. You can also reuse the same geometry, which is what I'm going to do with this. Now, because I need this to instance, let's see, what did I do in the last one? Sorry guys, I'm just going to have a quick squiz at what I did with this. Okay, so I had a line. This is Erindale's node here, going into the geometry of the point instance, right, so that I could reference those vertices and move them along. Right. Yes. And then I could multiply that and then do a little combine X, Y, Z. Yes, that's what I'm going to have to do. Right. Yeah. So it's a bit of dark arts black magic here. Right. So what I'm going to do this time, let's drop that seed here. I'll just duplicate this point instance here. So let's duplicate that. Set it back to object. And let's make this object the corner ornate. This essentially does the same thing as this object info, but it's got some geometry input. So let's go geometry, geometry out. Okay, so now we need to tell it something. What do we need to tell it? Need to tell it? What have I got and done here? I've made a monster. Oh, no, I don't want to do that. What did I do last time? Geometry. Okay. It's got the corner ornate. Geometry. Spacing. Ah, right. Okay. So actually, did I? Eesh. That's the roof. Do I have another corner ornate somewhere? Oh my gosh, I've lost myself. And this is where I'm going to start losing people. I really. So we've got, see, we should have 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. And this one should be negative. And then that one should be... So let's see now. Okay, so the same line should drive it. Interesting. Okay. Okay, so here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to input object info corner ornate. So our first corner is going to remain there. Okay, so I want my second corner ornate. Okay, I'll probably end up fixing this up in a second. Now, because this count and this end location, right, it needs to basically push when it comes to the geometry nodes. It makes more sense when people relate the tools to their traditional modeling equivalent. I'm really hoping I can do that here. Because it's all got to do with sort of positioning and scaling and everything like that. What the geometry nodes actually does is dig into a lot of the code and allows you full control over where it's placed and how many iterations it does and all that sort of stuff without having to, you know, model and duplicate and all that sort of stuff. Because then it's entirely procedural. I've heard it's very much like Houdini. So what am I trying to do here? Okay, so let's see. First off, I'm going to try to see if I can get this one to show up. Right, it's not showing up there, but we want to push it along, which means we need a combine X, Y, Z to go into there. And we need to use this in the X direction. And we need to give this count. Is it that? No, how did I? Crap. Goes into the line. Ah, right, no, so that's the Z count. We need the width count of the wall. Okay. Where else is the width count going? Oh my gosh, I've lost I've lost my noodling here. Is this where we're at? Got wall. Okay. But that's this thing here. Right. Yep. Goes into that geometry there. That's the first one. There's a second one. X. Okay. I've got the multiply add. See if we can replicate this. See, we have here we've got multiply subtract. So multiply, yes, multiply add 0.5 value. Why? Right. 1. And should the count go here? No, shouldn't. And this is why you should label your nodes boys and girls. Yes, it certainly is. This took me all day. I really do apologize. I would put little groups and everything around this actually. Let's see who we got. Depth. Width is going to the multiply for some reason. Okay, so we got 3. See, I was using Aaron's looks like a flying node monster. All hail his noodly appendage. Yes, it certainly does need some cleaning. All right. Will I be able to make this work? 1. We need to push this along. What am I doing wrong here? See, I think what I've done wrong here, let's get rid of this just to see it for a second, is I'm trying to instance it on a line, which we don't really want. We want to push it along this value and make sure that it goes that many steps. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So if we've got 3, let's make it easy. We've got 2 steps. So now this geometry. Yes. Oh boy, I've already broken this. I've already broken this, and I can't see. What I was trying to do was basically work out what Aaron did with his toolkit here to manage to push this along. So this point instance here, this corner ornate transform gets pushed along the geometry. That stays where it is, and then this one gets moved along. Right. Okay, so this one is referencing that geometry from that line, but then it's getting pushed along the width. So why is mine multiplying? Probably because it's looking for the line width. So probably going to need to get some different math here, which is related to this, to push along this geometry. Let's see if we can have a point translate, maybe? Would that work? We go point translate. Okay. And then we want to translate it this many times. Why aren't you showing up? Because you haven't got a count, have you? I have broken this. I have totally stuffed this up. Yes, in the original it works. Oh boy, I think I'm going to have to bring in Aaron's thing, because this is not going to work. Oh my gosh, I feel like such a failure and all that stuff. I know I can push this along this vector. Why isn't it showing up at all? If I wow. Now this isn't even showing up because it needs does it need the original geometry? Is that what it needs? Okay. All right, so we've got the original geometry in there. Fair enough. And then so if it's then translated, but that's, why has it got 4? Because it's instancing all of those vertices. Right. Whew. Right. I think I created something different for this. What I did was use a grid. Didn't I? Did I use a grid? I think I used a ETK line, ETK line, ETK grid. Yes. Yes. X count, Y count. Ugh. All right. It's always the fluffing around and fluffing up bits that always gets me. Let's see what happens. Let's see what happens, shall we? If we place this grid, that should distribute this across a grid. Now this size X and size Y, it'd be 3 for 3. No, 2, 2. Yes. Okay. 1. No. Okay, so it needs 4. All right. And then we've got this geometry to move it around. So where is this going to sit now? Could probably move this. Here we go. 1.5, 1.5. All right. And if we scale this, -1. Okay, so we've got that. And we can move this back 1 meter. All right, there we go. So now the size of the X, how do I get it to move from this origin point instead? obviously need to move the center, don't we? I'm in uncharted waters here. So I am going to have to cheat a little bit and append Erindale's node tree, the grid and the line. So I worked it out for the line. I did not work it out for the grid. So now what we need to do is let's make this one the corner ornate. Let's bring in Erindale's grid group. Let's do this. Okay. Okay. Ooh. Oof. Okay. 1, 1, 2. No, let's go 1. There we go. Size negative. Nope. 1. All right. So then this point instance. Oh boy, what am I doing now? I've got 55 concurrent viewers and I don't know what I'm doing. Oh no. Oh no. I'm flailing here. Right, okay. So I think I had, if I can remember correctly, I had a geometry transform on the other end of this. Yes. -1. -0.5. There's our first one. Right. If I bring that in, yes, okay, so that's gonna bring in that. Right. So if I then do a second transform, right, the second transform was going to be, connect that. First do it and then explain it. 1, 0.5, and I think this then had to move along. We're all learning from your learning. I really, really hope so. I considered getting the ETK sometime. Yes, it is worth it. It's really cheap. It's £5 or $6 US. And the good thing is that it comes with a lot of presets. So if, for instance, I was to bring in this line and connect this geometry to the geometry there, right, and then the vertex count to the vertices, damn it, that should do exactly the same thing. Oh, that's right, it said use spacing of 0, and because it's a length of 0. Was that right? Is that how I set it up? Let's see now. Spacing 4. Right, yes, okay, got it. So here, spacing 3. Why have I got all these duplicates? Because we've got a lot of counts. If they're going to buy that one once I've delivered into Geonodes myself, still have other things to grasp on first. Yes. Boy, okay, so I'm going to put another link in the notes here. Just going to quickly look this channel up. It is C. Bailey Film. Chris Bailey. That's the wrong Chris Bailey. C. Bailey Films. Let's see if I get the right one. Yes, there it is. Excellent. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a link here to... Oh, come on. Where's your video? Let's see. Geometry nodes. Just looking up there. Geometry nodes tutorial. Yes. Hopefully this won't sound off with a stupid ad here. Let's mute this. 2, 1, 0. Let's skip the ad here. Is this the one that I was looking? Yes, it is. Okay, cool. What I'm going to do is I am going to share this link in the live stream. There we go. Save. All right. Whew. Post in chat too if you add to the description. I doubt description updates by itself. Okay, sure. Yeah. Excellent. Okay, this is Chris Bailey's YouTube video on nodes. Now, he uses the current version, and what's really, really good about it is that he takes you through some really cool basics for this. Right. Now I have to figure out how to push this point instance along the end here. So this point instance should simply appear here. Why does it not? Because it needs a geometry input. But that geometry input, perhaps it's duplicating. It duplicates that way. Grr. I was wondering if the shader still stands or if there are newer and more efficient ways of achieving the same result. Many thanks. Hi, Dynamic. Yes, look, I'm going to quickly answer that question. Yes, I'm very slowly working on an update for the manga shader to, take into account some new ways of working and new expectations for toon shading in general. Now, one thing, if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to switch gears here for a second. One thing I wanted to show you, right, that is not Geonode related, but I put in a little demo video here, is that in 2.93 and above, there is a new grease pencil modifier. And this is one of the reasons why I never put in lines in my toon shader is one, they're a bit fiddly to set up and they kind of only work in cycles because they use some sort of a bevel node system. So, and I'm not a scripter. I'm basically using what's available at, in Blender as it is. So I was basically stuck with freestyle and what's the other one? Inverted hull, which I highly, highly recommend using the Feline Entity Outline Helper for doing the inverted hull. It's an almost one-click solution. It's amazing. But in 2.93, something is coming down the line. I'm going to show you right now how this works. So we've got this building here, right? And I actually added a camera so that, let's just move this camera up a little bit here so you can see it in action because it needs a camera. I'm going to go on the outside scene collection here and I'm going to add Shift A grease pencil blank object. And to this grease pencil blank object, I'm going to add a very special modifier. Okay, add modifier, Lineart, right? Going to make the source collection the building. I'm going to target its layer, GP layer, and it's automatically got a material called black there, okay? And instantly, can you see that? If I look around, right? We've got a grease pencil line work over our mesh. Okay, so we can do things like, say, remove doubles, or we don't need edge marks, so we can take that away. The style, I can, let's go quite thick. I'm just going to bring that up to 60. Oh, no apologies necessary, Dynamic. This is a live stream, and so I'm kind of happy to sort of go backwards and forwards here a little bit. There were a couple of topics I want to hit, and we're almost on the hour, so I was really hoping to finish up with the Geonodes here. But yes, okay, so this is the Lineart modifier that is in 2.93 beta and beyond, right? Here's what you don't see. You ready for this? It's going to blow your tiny minds. If I swing around to the back, where have the lines gone? Curious, right? That's because the line art is only generated based on a camera view. So from this camera view, it's perfectly normal. How do I know this? Well, let's switch our pivot to 3D cursor and let's select our camera. And I'm going to rotate this camera, right? So rotate Z. And And I'm going to, oh, it's going to stall. It's going to stall. Yes, it's going to stall. Right? What it's done is it's dynamically changed the Lineart modifiers. All the same settings, right? But it needs that camera to generate. So if I now swing around, those previously textured surfaces are no longer textured because the camera doesn't need it, right? It's still pretty cool because basically what you can do is animate, right? So you can animate around something. Now, if you were to, shameless plug here, texture these with, say, my comics shader, and then put this grease pencil on it, you can have a fully comic style preview inside of your viewport. Should I do that, guys? Just anyone say yes in the chat, and I'll import a material and I'll do that on this building. Make this make this live stream worthwhile. I'll give you a couple of seconds. Oh man, sad I missed the beginning. Seems interesting. It's okay, Jim. This is archived, and so you're going to see all my fluffing around and all my embarrassing movements as well as the beginning. So, okay, there's a yes. There's a yes. I'd be up for that. Yes. Okay, I think it's a big yes. Hang on. Did someone say yes twice? Someone said yes twice, but I'm going to count it. All right. Okay, let's get a material here. What I'll do first, I'll just make this invisible so that we can work here. Now, these assets have the same... Oh boy, there's so many duplicate materials here. Right, okay. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to append... Let's see if I can go over to my super secret stash here. Projects, comic ink shaders, comic shader lights. Should we go with the we want the light 4, append, and let's go with our node trees, and let's just go with the base. Let's bring in the halftone as well. Actually, if we're going to bring in the halftone, I'm going to go with this one and just bring in the base Eevee and the new halftone, which will be... I think I'm going to do a little update here. Okay, so let's append those. Right. So what we need to do is to change some material slots here. Oh boy. Whew. Should have really thought about this earlier, Paul. Okay, so we've got light grey and dark grey. So let's open up a shader editor and see what's going on with our shader. That's our light grey material. Great. Let's replace this with a toon shader. So let's go Shift-A, Group, Base, Eevee. There it is. All right. Shield that. I'm going to bring that base color over to that color. And let's just bring in that combined output into there. We can get rid of that and rid of that. I'm just going to copy this. Oh, actually, we really do want to see it, don't we? So what we have to do is, let's go to the ground floors here. Ground floor. Hang on a second. Where's our wall? There should be a wall in here. Interesting. Okay. The door ornate should have light grey. We're going to switch this over to light grey. No, hang on. There's an orphaning trick here that I showed. Wait, you can select stuff in different folders when appending. Yes, yes you can. You hit append, then you go to the folders, and that way you can bring in meshes, materials, node trees, lights, scenes, anything that is broken down inside that blend file. You can just append that one specific thing. It's really, really awesome. Okay, so if we went to, was it Data API? Was this it? And we had materials, and we can go, wait, what was this? Was it this one? Dark grey. If we right click, select What was the trick here? Why can't I do it in this version? Damn it. Was it this? Was it this trick? Hang on. Am I missing? No. No keying set to active. Well, basically I want this to reference that. I want to reference the other data. There we go. Library, preview, shader. Oh man, look at all that info. That's just way too much. Okay. Dark gray, dark gray. I thought it was simply a matter of right-clicking and we can select the length, sure. But then we should be able to change the data to dark gray. Multiple specific things, either one or two. So yeah, is this the edit? No, is this the right? We've got library overrides now. Blender file. Here we go. This is what it was. Okay, so let's see. Materials. Right, black. Right click. Remap users to black. All right. Please don't crash on me. Select all of these. Remap users. Oh. One, two. Remap users to dark gray. Has that done it for all of them? Oh, no, it's going to do it for one at a time, isn't it? Dark gray. Dark gray. Why am I doing this? Well, basically, I want the minimum amount of materials to work with. So now they should all be mapped to this dark gray. So the light gray, I can remap those users to the first light gray. Light gray. Light gray. They really should be able to do a batch on this. I feel I might have broken Paul from the node trees to toon materials. No. This is actually my wheelhouse. So this is more along the lines of what I'm able to do. So now when I select inside of the view layer, any of these, yes, okay, metal, blue door metal. Okay, cool. Window pane, dark gray. Yes. It's got light gray. All of the light grays should be this base shader. How do I know this? Well, let's test this out. Let's give this a colored light. Let's make it a nice sort of a pinkish light. And let's say take something with a light gray and let's give it the light color factor. Maybe 0.3. Ah, yes, we need to be in material mode. Yep, that's working. Yep, it is. Okay, what's going on here? With the upper floors, window, light gray, dark gray. Right, okay, so what I'm going to do is, that's a bit, shadow softness 0, shadow intensity, a little bit of rim size, not much. Okay, copy, dark gray, paste. Drag and drop that swatch there. Now that is a toon material as well. Great. Glass. Oh, this should be interesting. I think I might leave the glass as it is because it's nice and reflective, actually. See if we use a scene there, take away the scene world, we should get some reflections. Oh, it's not giving me reflections. Yeah, interesting that. What about 58? Wow, that's great. Yeah, I think someone already did the post on right-click select about remapping users being cumbersome. Yes, it is, unfortunately. Okay, we'll leave the glass as it is. Oh, I guess we can make it fairly metallic, actually. So why don't we do this? Give it that coloring. We'll bump up the metallicness quite high. We'll make the shadow quite high. We'll give it the rim intensity quite high as well. So now this will simulate glass. If we maybe make the shadow color this color but darker. Right, so now if we... Yep, there we go. See how that glass works now? Oh, that's nice. That's very nice. Say, the synthpop playlist you shared last stream is great. But, oh, no, you're welcome, Jurash. Yes, it is a pretty good working soundtrack. Yes, I quite enjoy it. There's some really good artists on that. Okay, so now I'm going to get this blue door, and we're going to give this blue door a different bit of a few properties here that are a little bit more, okay, a bit more metallic, a little bit of light, no light color factor, maybe a bit of softer shadow, no rim light. Okay, good. Metal should be like the glass. So if we went with the window pane and selected our base EV, Control C, and then we went with, there's the door, metal, paste that in here. Basically what I'm trying to do, guys, is replace all the materials with some toon materials here. So that's very metallic, but we don't want as much rim size so it doesn't look like glass. And we're going to give this a bit of a light factor as well, or maybe we drop the metallicity on the metal itself. So what about the roof here? We've right, so ground floor. There's the corner ornate. Yes, the roof. Light grey and black? What? Light grey, dark grey. Cement light. Cement light is a different color. So we need that. Subscribe, good content. Oh, thanks, Jim. What a time to be alive. Hold to your papers. What is the name of the playlist? Oh, I can post it in here again. It's in my last live stream in the notes now. So let me just finish this up and I'll post it in the thing. Just freaking do it. What am I just freaking doing, Marco? Yes. Just connecting this up here. Don't need the normal map there. Don't need to be very metallic. Don't need much of a rim light at all. Do need a bit of light color factor. And let's drop this shadow back to black there. Okay, what's going on with this corner here? We've got light grey and black for some reason. What's that? No, this should be dark grey. There we go. Is that right? There we go. There's our building that's toon shaded. That's beautiful. Nice. Okay. Window. Let's... okay. Upper floors. Great. Ground floor. Roof. Yes. Okay. Now let's look through here. Let's go into rendered view here. Oh, that. Just freaking subscribe to Paul for those that have not. Yes, thank you for the shout out, Marco. Yes. See here, I've got my little cheerleader there from all the way in Canberra. All right, so there's the scene world. Okay, we've got these toon colors. We've got this sun. I think the sun's strength really needs to be brightened up a bit. How about that, huh? Okay, let's give this a bit of a golden glow here. There we go. Right. Yes, we've got our shadows. I think we'll drop in our contact shadows while we're at it. Okay, so we've got this toon shaded. It's really, really nice. Yes. We wanted to get some halftone in there, didn't we? Let's see what this render looks like first, okay? So let's get this grease pencil in there, right? So there's our line work. And if we went into our compositor... Now, this is a fresh install of Blender, so I'm still working out this extra window on the render. But can you see that, guys? Now we've got some generated line work. Okay, this is a single pass, right? So this would definitely need a bit of tweaking. And what I would suggest you guys do is, if you're happy with the building, you sort of apply the modifier stack, although there's a few problems at the moment with it, so you're going to get some really odd results, but then you have to sort of merge some vertices and stuff like that. This is a sidetrack again, but could you give me some brief tips on freestyle? I would mostly like it to use it on my animated movie. Most of my animated parts are grease pencil, but also some meshes are animated. Oh, Gerard, I'd love to, but it would be way, way bigger sidetrack for this. So I'm really, really sorry, Gerard. I can't go into freestyle unless it's sort of comparing it to this effect. So, and plus, in terms of animation, I'm not that great. I don't really want to set up an animation here because it'll take too long to render. But what I can do is I can compare this grease pencil to a freestyle, if you like. Would that be okay? It's fine. It's smiley face. It's exactly the same principle for animation. So basically, if you're running an animation, every frame is calculated, and the freestyle calculates it along with it. If you guys want to have a quick look, I might go on here for another 15 or so minutes, calling it a night. Sorry to have sidetracked so far from Geonodes, guys. If you're still interested, just sort of give me a thumbs up or a yes or whatever. Absolutely. All right. Okay. So let's do this. Okay. So we're going to switch off this grease pencil, and we're going to render this with freestyle now, just to show you the comparison. Now, the way you enable freestyle, remember, I'm in the Eevee render engine. Freestyle now works in both very, very well. In my render properties, I'm going to go all the way down to freestyle just to enable it. And now, what is it? My output? Oh, yes, that's right. I'm going to 200. Let's go to 100. In passes, there's freestyle enabled. Excellent. I'm just going to enable culling there. As render pass. Okay, now you've probably all seen this. As soon as you click as render pass, my compositing node. Just a super quick freestyle question. Can freestyle pick up normal maps? No, it can't. And neither can the Lineart modifier. I tried this today. I was hoping to do some sort of displacement mapping with materials that can be then applied in the comics shader that would go. But the only way you can get displacement information to show up in Lineart, I'm not sure about freestyle, it possibly could be in freestyle also, is to add it as a modifier. You have to do a displacement modifier and add the material as a displacement material. So yeah, unfortunately the answer to that is no, which really, really sucks because it just sort of does this really weird outline. You've got these wonderful normal maps. So the best way to do it is basically just use bump maps or apply that geometry if you can. Okay, so where was I? Yes, right. So we've just enabled freestyle. We've got the freestyle output pass. Okay, so if I close up the main freestyle thing so we can see this. Freestyle line set, yes, that's fine. I'm just going to leave all of these defaults here because what I really like to play around with is the freestyle line style. I gotta go, love the stream, but gotta go do some stuff. That's fine. Niovatn. You can catch up on this. This will be archived as soon as it's finished. It'll encode and it'll be up, so you can rewatch. Okay, so Gerard, talking to you, I guess, and anyone else who wants to know some freestyle stuff. Here are my settings for getting some really nice freestyle lines. It's very, very simple. I'm gonna go over to thickness here. I'm gonna add a modifier, a long stroke. Okay, I really want to bring this up so we can see it. Okay, I'm going to set that to multiply. I'm going to set it from linear to curve, and I'm going to make this curve taper. So it's 0 at one end. Okay, top there and down here. Okay, so this taper is basically what the line is going to look like. Okay, cool. Me too, but this is too interesting. Oh, thanks, Dynamic. Yes, it will be archived again, so yes, you won't miss out. So it's all good. Okay, so that curve has been set. Now, the value minimum is 0, and the value maximum is 1. Now, the base thickness is 3. So what's going to happen is this thickness here, the thickness 3, is going to be multiplied by 0 and 1. So at its thickest, it's actually going to be 3 units, pixels, whatever. And at its thinnest, it's going to be 0. So with just that modifier on, if I do a quick render here, let's see what happens. Freestyle map, come on, you super awesome computer. That's just, oh, that's right. Yes, I've got to. Going to get an image editor there. I'm going to get render result. Yes, it's rendering both. Let's do this one more time. Paul, this stream will be saved. I'm going to have lunch. Can't watch it now. Yes, it will be saved. As soon as I'm finished, YouTube will automatically encode it and you can pick it up from where you left off and all that sort of stuff. Not a problem, Hugo. All right, so that's done it. So now, with this image up here, if I drag my freestyle over, there are our freestyle lines. How do I get that over my image? Well, I generally like to go Shift-A, color. You can use the alpha over, but I generally like to use a mix node. And I go the image in the top slot, freestyle in the second, and this button here is very, very important. Include alpha of the second input stream. And so the reason I like to use the mix node is now that you've got the freestyle lines over there, can you see these lines, how they taper? Okay. You know what I'm going to do? Because I've got an awesome, mega, super hot computer, I'm going to bump up this resolution to 250. I'm going to do another render here, nice and large. Okay. Yes. Did you guys want to know what I'm running? I'm running a Ryzen 9 5900X CPU with 64 gigabytes of RAM and 12 cores. So yes, the renders are going to be pretty damn fast. Okay, you may do your business in your tissues now. Okay, so as I am zooming in, see the tapering here of the lines. You've got this little sort of, it looks like a brush stroke. And that is all thanks to this a long stroke modifier. So every stroke that it makes, it will brush along, tapering it so that it looks like a brush stroke. It really makes it look so much better than just a straight blocky line. Now, of course, because we've now mixed our main image and our freestyle, someone got it, line pass. Well, you know, it's after hours for me, so this is sort of like the yes. I'll keep it G-rated for you guys. Sorry, for your other time zones. Right, you can now bump down that factor and make these lines a little bit less intense if you wanted to get some really nice looking line work. So you know, freestyle does still have its awesome look, but what the advantage of the grease pencil line art modifier is, of course, that if we're in the 3D viewport and we've got this grease pencil on, you can preview it inside that view. And what's more, you can, you know, change some of those dynamics. What am I trying to say here? Boy, it is late. Dynamics? Parameters. I was mixing up dynamics and parameters, and I came up with diameters. No, parameters. Right, and so you can play around with things like, you know, the chaining or all that sort of stuff. And when you're done, you can sort of bake that down. So if you happen to like this line work and you're not animating or anything like that, you can then just apply that line art modifier and it becomes its own grease pencil thing. So if let's do this just for the hell of it, right? It's applied. Now this won't update, but it's editable in edit mode, right? What does that mean? Well, what if we wanted to take, say, a point here, just here, and not to the medium point, right? And do some scaling here. We want some fall off scaling, right? Right, and just thicken up those bits, right? Now you've got all of those grease pencil tools available to you because this is a grease pencil line, right? So you can change some of the thicknesses. You can get some really nice effects. You can go in and edit lines that you don't like, for instance, delete them, edit them, what have you, right? So that is the advantage of using the grease pencil line art modifier. Oof, boy, I've been going for about an hour and a half now. Would you be okay if I all left it here, guys? I'm going to do a tutorial this week which will cover this mess. I'm killing myself here. This mess that I've made over here. And so I'm going to figure out what's going on there so that I will drop in all the major points. I think I got as far as making one wall, which was pathetic when we wanted to work in 3 dimensions. Yeah, this building actually took me all day to work out. But here's the thing. I'm just going to undo a few steps here, right? So we can get our line art modifier back, right? No, I want my line art modifier to be seen. Excellent, good. So the other thing is that if I was to modify this, thanks, Bernie. Yes, I'm going to go in just a few minutes, right? Let's say I was to drop this down by count. Can you see how that line art modifier updates with the count? How cool is that? Right? So, like, look at this. I want a wider building with some line work on it. Bang. With 2 awesome modifiers, like this one's got the geometry nodes on that, and the grease pencil's got the line art. We now have this really, really cool method of creating some dynamic comic style or toon style art. Okay, so look, I'm going to leave it there for tonight, guys. Thank you so much for turning up. I'm really, really happy that everyone turned up like this. Yes, this will be cached for anyone who came in late. You can watch it from the beginning and all that sort of stuff. You can give it a like, subscribe if you're not subscribed already, all of that good stuff. Yeah, look, I'll try to be on here again next week, same time, if this suits all of you guys. Yeah? Yeah. All right. I'm going to see if I can end this stream from YouTube. Bye for now.